Hello, hello, hello. So I've got things now set up. I think things are set up. In this video, by the way, what I'm going to do is this is vlogging. This is just rambling vlogging. There's nothing new on Legion news, and there's nothing new on any Warcraft related news. So if what you're after is like my informative videos, I'm afraid this isn't one. This is just to catch up with what's going on with me in my Warcraft and YouTube and website related activities. Okay, so. So hopefully I've got the green screen set up. Hopefully it's working now, and that's going pretty well. New title slide at the front of the videos as well. See what you think of that. I found a site that allows you to make these things for free. Didn't spend ages on it, but I thought it looks all right. So let me know what you think of that as well. So yeah, I mean, I moved, and it's a while ago now. I've now been in for a while, but it's taken me ages to get things set up. And I think I now have. And of course, as soon as I got my internet back up, I was going mad in alpha. I've been doing so many things and throwing out sort of loads of videos as well that I probably shouldn't have done. I'm going to scale it back now and just still focus on the main things that I traditionally focus on, which is going to be, of course, retribution type stuff, as well as features in Legion. And there are some features in Legion that I'm really excited about. Professions, dungeons and raids. I'm not going to go so much on other classes and specs, but raiding in general I will do as soon as I get the chance to do that. At the moment, there was a little bit of raid testing while I had no internet, so that was good. My guild as well doesn't necessarily go into them, so we'll have to see when the next letter raid testing comes out. First of all, one, will I be available, because they're not always put at the most convenient times for Europe, and two, will I be able to get into a group that will try these things out. I'm hoping by the time that happens, we can have add-ons in alpha without having to fiddle code and potentially get ourselves banned from it. At the very least, I would like tell me when in there. I have, with the last video I did with the dungeons, logged at least. So if you wanted to check out the damage that's been done, you could look at that. But it's really not very good because it's actually quite hard. I mean, I used to do this when I used to use the Blizzard UI, the standard Blizzard. The only thing I used to use add-on wise for the first few years of playing WoW was like custom raid frames, because the raid frames on the left hand side are absolute rubbish, and they weren't even there from the start anyway. So I used to have ones, especially being a healer. I was a healer, and you want raid frames in a nice convenient place where you can see them as well as see other things. But the other thing is, when I used to use the standard Blizzard UI, is I had a much smaller monitor, so it was actually easier to see everything, even though it's still a lot of information that's not conveniently presented. Whereas now I'm looking on a widescreen monitor, and the same happens every beta, of course. And I'm all over the place because I have like buffs at the top right of my screen and debuffs, and I've got, you know, the action bars at the bottom. So you're having to look down there as well. And then the stuff that you're looking at around your character. And that's in the middle of the screen. And you need to look at that so you're not standing in fire. They have made one improvement in that I don't keep having to look at the top left for my character's health, because they put a thing in the middle. To be fair as well, it also has your buffs. So I could just be looking at that for my buffs. But I'm still not into the habit of doing that. But they have done that, to be fair to them. But it's still a lot of looking around, even if I get used to that. So it's not optimal play at all. And we're hopefully, I'm hoping we're going to be getting quite close to beta coming out. There's been a lot of discussion on forums as well as to when Legion is going to come out, and a lot of people saying, well, I mean, you get some nutters. I mentioned this before about when it's going to come out. I did a video last week. Coming up with all sorts of mad thoughts. We don't know. We actually don't even know what state the game is in, because what we see in alpha is not the actual state it's in. There might be loads and loads of features that are done and ready for testing. They just don't want us testing them yet. So I mean, I can look at it and say, okay, you've been working on Legion since before Walls of Draenor came out, and all we've got is 3 scabby zones, some classes, most specs now, but not all, and some dungeons, and that's it. But of course, there might be loads and loads done. We just don't know yet. They haven't brought it out. So I'm hoping beta will come out fairly quickly. We can't judge this by Warlords of Draenor standards, but Warlords of Draenor beta was out for 5 months. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that when beta comes out for Legion, that the launch will be 5 months later, because it's a totally different schedule. Because remember, Warlords of Draenor was the first of the 2 expansions that were developed in parallel. In theory, when beta launches for Legion, the game should be more advanced than it was when Warlords launched for beta. So we'll just have to wait and see. Ultimately, we will not know when the launch date is until Blizzard announce it, and they typically don't announce it for a couple of months before. So what I'm hoping is, this is not me thinking this is when it will launch. I have no idea. No one has any idea. Some people just talk with confidence, that's all, and they're frequently wrong. And it's a no-lose situation when you're arguing on a forum, because if someone says this thing is not going to launch before September, and then it launches in July, no one's going to dig up that person and go, because they'll get banned for necro in the post anyway. So, but I am hoping that it does launch. Mid-July would suit me perfectly, because as a teacher, I sort of finish the second week in July, I think, for some holidays. So it would give me a few days to get everything set up, get myself sorted. It'll be the first time ever a launch has gone on when I've actually had time to dedicate it 24/7. And in such a situation, of course, you don't want to be wasting time. You know, I need to get everything set up, and I need to make sure food's set up. So I make sure my diet is going to be based around things that don't need a lot of preparation time. Have everything set up so that I can spend most of my time sat on this chair, giving myself arseache while I build up my characters. I mean, other things that happen as well. I mean, my main worry when it launches as well, aside from whether I'll have the time, because they could easily bring this out in September. I hope they won't. Or even if it was like the last week of August, that's like Blizzard trolling me, because that's when I go back to work. I've had 6 weeks off. Literally 6 weeks off, when I could have been spending, not all my time. As teachers, we do some planning over summer as well. But I have a lot of time to spend. And then they'll bring it out just as I'm going back, and it's like, thank you very much. Really? Have you actually done that? If you'd have just brought it out even 1 week before, that would have been useful. But screw you, Blizzard. Thanks very much. Because as a teacher, if you think about it, 1 out of every 4 weeks is a holiday for a teacher. Which, as I say, we're not off. All these people that go, oh, it's all right for teachers, all this time off. Well, it's not actually off. We do have work to do. But it's much more like being self-employed, because we can choose what times we do that. We can manage our time a bit better. And it's not as much work, let's be honest. But they've always managed to miss it. Every expansion that has come out, not a single one of them has hit the holiday between terms or half terms. It's quite spectacular, really. But this one might just hit summer. And even if it was just a couple of weeks before I went back, it would still give me a couple of weeks to spend. That would be better than nothing. It's just it'd be better if it was the whole of summer. Because one thing I'm really dreading is getting up 2 characters, and I had to do this in Warlords, again during term time, getting up 2 characters to not only level cap, but geared enough to go into the raids for the split runs. And I was really fearing the Legendaries. Now, there has been some news on Legendaries, in that they first of all said that to begin with, you'll only be able to wear 1. So you sort of choose which one. So you're not going to have someone who's been unlucky and got no Legendaries, and some other smart arse who's got 4, and they go in with their golden wings, even shinier than my Paladin golden wings, and beast everything, and you're sat there thinking, shit, look where I am on the damage meters, and you end up getting benched because you're useless. So that won't happen. They get to choose 1, but even 1 is quite powerful. But then I think what they've said, because there's been a bit of movement on this, is they'll disable Legendaries for a certain number of weeks. They're not saying how many weeks when the raid launches. Now, I strongly, in fact, they've actually said this is so it doesn't affect the world first race. So I strongly suspect it will not be many weeks. I think it might only be for 2 weeks, just so that the world first race is over, and then I think they will allow, or maybe they'll wait for the top 10 guilds to finish it. Then I think they will allow it again, which doesn't necessarily do me that much good. And also, I would argue that if you have to keep putting these systems in place, so they're going to make it so you can only wear one legendary at a time to begin with, and then, oh, they're going to be disabled in raids, and you're having to put all these safety features in place. It's to me, you should be basically thinking to yourself, well, it's not actually a great system then, is it? You know, any scientist or engineer will tell you that the simplest systems are the best. If a system is excessively complicated, it's because it's fundamentally not well designed. And I would argue the same here. Some people disagree with that, that's fine. But that's what I would argue. So, but at least it puts a little bit of pressure off, because it means, as well as having to gear my characters up and do loads and loads of dungeons, which is what I would need to do, I don't have to be thinking about killing loads and loads of boars to get my legendaries either. But I will still need to get those at some point. And they've also said there's a higher chance of these things dropping from harder content. Now, I don't know what that means, because I know what harder content means. What I don't know what it means is, because they said it's like you can target specific areas for specific legendaries. So it's like, okay, I want that legendary. I want that helm that increases my Avenging Wrath. So I'm going to go over there because that's where they drop from. Well, then they're saying, you know, you get a higher chance of harder content. So does that mean for a given legendaries, there are multiple places you can go to try and get them, but the harder content has the higher chance? I don't know. Does it mean there's a chance in dungeons? And if there is a chance in dungeons, is it a specific dungeon, or is it just dungeons in general? Does it mean it can drop off raids? In which case, raid leaders have got the absolute arsehole hassle of assigning legendaries, something we haven't had to do for years. Cataclysm, probably the last time with the rogue daggers, was probably the last time that had to happen. It is the last time that had to happen, because in MOP and Worlds, everyone has had the legendary. It's been totally independent of random raid drops. The only drops we had to collect were ones that were assigned to us anyway, nothing to do with people assigning them for us. So that could be an asshole if that's the case. The legend system is just a mess. But we'll just wait. They'll keep refining it. Hopefully they'll just completely tear it down and start it again. I know they're not going to just drop legendaries from the game. It's now become a core feature. And especially as we're moving more towards Diablo, the fact that there's going to be loads of them again is no great surprise. Legendaries will be the new epics. Because, yeah, when we started the game, when I first got to level 60, legendary is really rare, and you get a smattering, and then eventually, once you got into proper raiding or PvP at a very, very high level, you would get like full sets. But then came TBC, and you get them much more quickly. You get into full epics really quickly, and now you get them stupendously quickly. You've got a decent number of epics before you even set foot in a raid. Warlords of Draenor. I'm not sure how many epics I would have been geared with when I first set into High Maul on normal mode. But it was a fair few. I would say more than half my gear was epic. Without even doing a raid. So it's come a long way. So now the only rare aspect of gear is, well, we judge it by item level. That's exciting. And of course, now legendaries. But everyone's had legendaries, so what do? More legendaries. So the special snowflakes are the people that have got like 4 legendaries, and the other ones have got like none, because, you know, RNG is fun. But anyway, just a little catch up. So where we are. So as I say, with the videos, I've just ramble. I do ramble. You know that. I did say this is rambling video. So if you're stuck here that's long and you're moaning, sorry, you only had yourself to blame. So with the videos, again, matching it very much around the website. Remember, the purpose of the website is it's not really for extra content. There are some things on there that I don't necessarily do as videos, but mostly it's there to organise the videos. I have when I was coming up with the website, I was conscious of the fact I have loads of videos, and for a new, and I try and put them in playlists, but then I was getting a lot of playlists. I've deleted playlists recently, ones that were for old content. So the videos are still there, but the playlists have gone. I'm trying to keep those slimmed down, but because I'm very aware that for a new viewer, you could look at these things and think, okay, I liked that video, right? I need to find videos that are similar. Okay, oh my God, there's loads of stuff. So the link to the website, so focus you on the 4 different areas: Retribution Paladins, Legion stuff, upcoming Legion stuff, Raidcraft stuff, and then just rambling blogs, which I do from time to time. But mostly it's 3 things. It's what's coming up in Legion, Retribution Paladins, and general raiding things, because those are my areas of expertise on that. So that's what I try and do it on. And of course, when Legion comes out, it will focus very much on some of the aspects of Legion I really like maybe professions, whatever I get time to do, but it will be raiding and Retribution Paladins specifically, but general raiding as well. So I'm going to try and do my videos based on those themes, and try and avoid doing too much on other classes and specs that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on anyway. Other people do those anyway. There's no need for me to duplicate content. So let me know what you think. Comments below if there's anything you want me to include, because obviously as I change certain things or directions that I take with the channel or with the website, some things I might change just tentatively, just to see what goes on. And then if no one says anything, I might think, well, actually that took me more work to do. No one's really bothered about it, I'll just drop it. Whereas if you have, if you've liked any new things that you've noticed, then put comments in to sort of say so. Similarly, if you don't, then put those in. I actually, and it surprises some people, like criticism, because you get nothing from someone saying, yeah, that was okay. Like, okay. You don't learn anything. It's not, if someone thought something was good, then by all means say, because, you know, it means I will do more of it perhaps. But if something was not good, don't just go, oh, okay, that wasn't good. Say why. It might be something that can be fixed. I do respond to feedback. I don't necessarily take it all up, because I might not agree on some things, or it just might not be me. But you always learn. I mean, any sort of successful person, or there's been so many quotes that are based on the same basic theme, is that success is built on a failure. Because that's the same thing that happens. Everyone who's successful in anything has failed many, many times. The reason they're successful is because they kept trying. They didn't fail and go, okay, I failed, I'm not going to do it anymore. They went, okay, I failed, but I've learnt, so I'm going to get better. The next time, failed again, okay. But I failed to something different. I didn't fail to the same thing. So I'm getting better and better and better. And eventually you succeed. And that's all there is to life. Keep going through the failures, learn from them, and get better. So you can help me out with that, because I can look back at these videos and think, yeah, that's okay. I can see things to improve on, and some things I might not see. But anyway, that's my rambling done. It was a longish one, but I have had longer. I've got a video coming out on why we need order halls and followers for Legion. And also I'm going to do a video quite soon on how artifacts are actually working at the moment, as well as a few other features around the order hall. And then we will see what is released, because they've been doing quite a few new builds quite quickly in alpha. I am hoping they get ready for beta. We'll just see from that. Okay, so until next time, see you later.